Welcome back to the deep dive. This is where we take your sources, kind of peel back the layers, and get to what's really important. Today, we're diving into something quite specific and pretty dramatic out of Kenya. It's based on a YouTube transcript you sent over. Our mission, really, is to unpack what happened in this confrontation, how it turned deadly so fast, and I guess what it tells us about these sudden escalations, especially, in contexts like law enforcement and the informal economy there. Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah, it's fascinating, but also really sobering, isn't it? How something that seems routine, just a check, can completely unravel and lead to such tragic results.
Yeah.
What's also key here is having multiple perspectives, which the source gives us, to try and piece together what happened, because at the center of this is a boda operator. For anyone listening who might not know, that's your motorcycle taxi driver. They're everywhere, absolutely vital transport in Kenya, in many places, but often in this kind of gray area with regulations.
Right. So this specific incident, our source says it happened in Thika, Kiambu County, at a place called Cravers. Sounds like a local spot. And it involves a police constable, part of the Special Police Intercept and Verification Unit. What exactly does that unit do? Because that seems important context here.
Absolutely. That unit, the Special Police Intercept and Verification Unit, their job is basically roadside checks. They're focused on, intercepting illegal operations, checking vehicles that might be unregistered, maybe used for crime. So finding this officer doing an inspection, that's exactly what they're tasked with. That's where this whole terrible sequence kicked off.
Okay, so standard procedure, really. But then it just takes this awful turn. We hear from a witness, Rose McCanna, in the source. She says the officer stopped this rider, and the bike didn't have that crucial registration code, the one all genuine boda operators need. And that seems to be the spark.
Exactly. That missing code, it's not just a small thing. It could mean the bike is unregistered, maybe stolen, or the operator's trying to avoid the system. Things escalated very quickly when the officer, seemingly trying to secure the bike or enforce the rule, took the ignition key. That's when, according to this account, the rider just pulled out a gun, shot the officer in the neck.
Wow. But then there's another view in the source, right? It adds another layer. This other account talks about a struggle first. Says the officer was weighed down a bit, even lay down on the ground, and then the individual, the Jama, stood up, pulled out a bunduki, a gun, and shot him. Chest this time, bullet out the back. So a struggle versus an immediate shot. What do we make of that difference?
That's a really key point, that discrepancy, struggle versus no struggle, or where the shot hit. It just highlights the chaos, the sheer confusion of moments like these. Eyewitness accounts, even when people are trying their best, they can differ, especially under that kind of stress. It makes getting a single, clear timeline really hard. What is clear, though, is how fast it went from a compliance check, something routine, to deadly violence. It really underscores the danger, the unpredictability officers can face.
Yeah, definitely. And it didn't stop there, did it? The source also mentions another witness, someone else who was apparently confronted by an armed person, forced off their own motorbike, which was then stolen, though it says that bike was found later, abandoned somewhere called Section 9.
Right. That as another element maybe suggests more desperation or broader criminal activity right after the shooting. It wasn't just about escaping that one confrontation, perhaps. And the officer, the one who was shot, they rushed him to Thika Nursing Home. But the injuries were too severe. He didn't survive. Just a terrible outcome from a roadside stop.
Such a tragic end. Okay, so let's step back a bit from the sequence of events. This feels like more than just one isolated incident. What are the sort of bigger dynamics here, especially thinking about the Kenyan context?
Well, connecting it to the bigger picture, it really throws the risks of law enforcement into sharp relief, especially where you have these large informal economies like the boda sector. They operate right at this edge, between being legal and essential and being unregulated or outside the rules. So this isn't just random violence. It shows that clash sometimes between state authority trying to enforce rules and this huge, vital, but maybe precarious part of the economy. And things like, well, the presence of illegal firearms, underlying tensions. It means a simple check can become incredibly dangerous. It's a real governance challenge.
It really is a sobering reminder how fast things can change from ordinary to extraordinary, and the dangers involved in enforcing rules, even rules that seem minor on the surface when they touch on these bigger, complex issues.
Exactly. So for you listening, maybe the question is, what stands out most to you from this? About how authority and individuals interact in these tough moments, and maybe how these small encounters might actually reflect much bigger things happening in society. Definitely something to think about after this deep dive finishes.